Good Monday morning. Glad I got a chance to spend some time with you. I hope you had a great weekend this weekend and hope you have a great week this week. We're continuing to look at leadership principles in the book of Nehemiah and the life of Nehemiah. We're coming to the last two principles. And this principle is very important because it shows the discernment that Nehemiah had. And we find it in Nehemiah chapter 7 and down in verse 1 and verse 2. It says, "Now it came to pass when the wall was built, and I had set up the doors, and the porters and the singers and the Levites were appointed, that I gave my brother Hananiah the ruler of the palace, charge over Jerusalem." Now notice the rest of this. "For he was a faithful man and feared God above many." Notice that. He was a faithful man and feared God above many. A great leader promotes worthy people. In other words, a great leader promotes people who are worthy of the task that's going to be assigned to them. Notice the two qualifications that Nehemiah had about the promotion here. He was faithful and he feared the Lord. He was faithful in performing his duties, and he was a man who feared God. Now, what do we know about a person who fears the Lord? A person who fears the Lord walks the way the Lord wants him to walk. A person who fears the Lord has a reverence for the Lord. And you notice that by the life that they lived. In other words, when you look at who Nehemiah promoted, he promoted the person because of his character, because of his faithfulness, because of his life, how he lived his life. Not because of who he was, but because of what he was. And see, a good leader, a great leader, promotes people who are able to do the task at hand, who are faithful, who are people of character, who are people who have proved themselves. So what does that tell us about Nehemiah? It tells us that Nehemiah was a man who observed the people that worked with him. Nehemiah was a man who was in tune to the people who was working on the walls of Jerusalem. He saw their faithfulness, and therefore he had a task at hand that needed to be done. And he went and he found a man that was faithful, that feared the Lord, because he knew he would do a good job. So what does that do for us today? Number one, it should promote us to be faithful. It should promote us to live in such a manner that when people see us, they see Christ living in us. Peter says, let those that ask you of the reason to hope that is within you with meekness and fear, that you share your testimony with them when they see within you the hope that's within your life. Great leaders promote people who are worthy for the position. So let's be worthy. Paul says, walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called. Let's be faithful. I hope you have a wonderful day today. Continue to pray for our nation. This is September the 11th. Let's remember those who have fallen. And let's pray for our nation. Let's pray that God will continue to bless our nation. And let's pray for a revival. Our nation needs a revival. I hope and pray that you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.